I want to translate David Starkey's bleak but useful observation about the ubiquity of deceit into the gallery, the auction room, the glossy VIP lounge, and the point is simple. When a culture tolerates lying as a lubricant, lying soon becomes the engine, and politics might show the pattern, but so does commerce and particularly the art market, that sort of secret world. And the BBC's The Great Art Fraud gives us a crisp case study, not a curiosity piece. It's a field guide to lying. And every so often, factual television delivers the full cocktail. Jaw-drop fury, laughter, then the slow burn of recognition. And Inigo Philbrick's story is just that. A young dealer with charm, good looks, a killer sales pitch, minted in London, launched in Miami, extradited from Vanuatu. And the figures are theatrical. Private jets, five-figure dinners, an $86 million restitution order, but the method is pedestrian. That is the most instructive part. He didn't discover a new sin, he exploited familiar ones: opacity, status hunger, the worship of price as truth. And it's tempting to watch the BBC interview and treat Philbrick as a one-off lovable rogue, engaging, frank, urbane. He's on the camera. The format flatters him. He speaks well on camera. He narrates his own fall with a half smile and a lawyer's hedged contrition. And meanwhile, the programme cuts to a sort of Tom Jones-type caper, sprinting through New York, London, Paris, with side footage that brushes celebrity and reality TV. Great fun, yet the real story is not the chase. It's the system that let the con run long enough to need a chase. The art market has three structural weaknesses. There's no central title register. In real estate, you can check who owns a house. In art, you cannot. Ownership lives in PDFs, WhatsApps, and memory, and that makes double selling and overselling laughably easy. If you can sell 120% of a picture to three different parties and paper it with lookalike contracts, you will succeed, it seems, until the music stops. Secondly, opacity is disguised as discretion. Secrecy is marketed as taste. Beneficial owners sit behind advisors. Guarantees are whispered, not published. Third-party deals are wrapped in side letters. Provenance is treated as decoration, not as a chain of custody. In such a fog, forged paperwork and invented guarantees flourish. I've been looking at a story about provenance for the past 6 months or so, and it is fascinating. But it's so difficult to sort of swim your way through the art market. It's like swimming through jelly. And price is often a performance. When price is the narrative, everything bends towards it. Bidding, shill billing, related party flips, warehouse to auction, round trips can manufacture comparables. The chart rises, the Instagram post does the rest. None of this requires genius. It requires a network that's willing to be fooled. It's the emperor's new clothes, because being in the room feels profitable. The grift uses human nature, not exotic finance. And the Philbrick pattern, there's sort of 5 moves really to it. First of all, to borrow against what you do not control, to pledge a picture you co-own without consent. That raises cash and creates urgency to place another bet. To oversubscribe with the same asset, to sell 50% to A, 50% to B, 40% or so, or another 50% to C. Keep the circles apart, keep everyone special. To inflate or to invent the backstop, to dangle a guarantee minimum from an auction house, which actually doesn't work. I think it's Christie's, which is supposedly guarantees a 9 million minimum. And if none exists, then you make a document that looks close, where you buy time. But it's basically the scam of the producers, isn't it? It's the Mel Brooks story, which is making a comeback this week or next week. And you play lifestyle as collateral. Planes, tables, the right faces, they all imply success in a status economy that is as good as a bank statement until it's not. And post hoc regret is cheaper than repayment. Perform remorse without restitution. Narcissism knows this. Audiences often do too, but they still clap. Notice how ordinary this is. The con sits on the same tripod as shabby politics, power, control, perception. It's all about keeping access, controlling the story, shaping what counts as real by repeating it loudly and wearing a good suit. And why intelligent people fall for this is if top-tier galleries once backed you or VIPs return your calls, the brain drops its guard. Sponsorship by reputation becomes a substitute for due diligence. It's a sort of social proof which lubricates the machinery. And the false deadlines, the plane to catch, the board to call, the guarantee window closing, all of this makes caution look naive. The shame of it all, the sunk cost, the first small loss is hidden to avoid embarrassment. The second tries to earn back the first. The silence compounds the problem. And "you were early and brave" is a powerful sentence. People buy that story as much as they buy the painting, the intoxication of the narrative itself. And the BBC is peddling that as much as Inigo is peddling it. The BBC's Access interview is gripping television. It also risks becoming part of the monetization of the fraudster's persona. This isn't new. True crime often sells the anti-hero. The only antidote is editorial framing that keeps victims, paperwork and mechanism at the centre and treats charm as evidence, not as entertainment. To be fair, the series tries, yet the audience must do the last mile, must enjoy the show, then ask, what in our institutions made that show possible? If you translate the same logic into politics or commerce, you see the family resemblance. No title register becomes no clear accountability. Who owned the decision? Who signed the risk? Why did the papers vanish? Committees blur responsibility. The opacity with etiquette becomes plausible deniability, off-the-record briefings, unattributable quotes, commercial confidentiality. Everyone knows, no one knows. I think the parallels here with reality TV are astonishingly important. The price as truth becomes the polls as truth, or the share price as truth. If the number is up, it must be right. If the number is down, change the story. It's the stuff of demagoguery. Starkey's contention about a culture of suppression and lies is not an historical flourish. It's a present tense diagnostic. The art world shows the mechanics in concentrated form because the sums are large, the contracts are private, and the product is intangible. And you need an expert to identify what the value is. It's wrapped up in a canvas that you don't really understand. It is the emperor's new clothes. What would a serious reform in the art world look like? I'm not interested in moralising from the balcony. So here are some practical steps that would reduce the next Philbrick to a small spill rather than a flood. A voluntary but hard-nosed title registry. Start with the high-value works and fractional deals. Register beneficial owners' percentages and links. Access for counterparties under NDA. No registry, no financing. Insurers can compel this faster than governments. We need to standardise funding. There needs to be a custody of funds by regulated agents with release only on verified title and provenance checks. Not glamorous but devastating to short cons like the Philbrick thing. Then there needs to be auction house transparency. We need to publish third-party guarantees, financial interest, irrevocable bids in a legible pre-sale sheet. The leading houses do fragments. We need to make it complete. We need to apply AML standards with real teeth to galleries above a particular turnover threshold too. We need to tie premium fair participation to compliance. And if you sell shares, you run it like a fund. Independent administrator, annual audit, clear cap table, board minutes, or you don't raise money. There has to be an audited system. And we have to encourage whistleblowers. There have to be whistleblower channels with proper protection, not like the NHS. Junior registrars and business managers see everything. We need to protect them, and that way we will hear the fire alarm before the roof goes. And insurers can require registry entries, inspection rights and movement logs as a condition of cover. They already do some of this. We need to tighten it up and publish aggregate compliance rates. These are dull proposals, but they would save fortunes. And the BBC documentary gives us a textbook modern contrition, regret about outcomes, affection for the old highs, and an ambition to return to dealing. Forgiveness is personal. Trust is structural. You can forgive a person and still build a system that treats their charm as immaterial. That is what we should do. If the deal requires speed, we need to slow down. If you cannot explain the chain of title on one sheet of paper, walk away. If the guarantee is not on letter-headed paper verified by a direct, so clearly verifiable, then we need to call the institution. And if it doesn't exist, then the deal needs to be off. If your appetite rises with the ceiling price, then you need to leave the room. If someone sells you access to power as part of the package, it's time to start counting the spoons. The great art fraud is enjoyable television. It's also a mirror to the society we are developing. So, do you only watch The Handsome Rogue and The Island Runaway and the pottering around on donkeys or ponies? You need to watch the paperwork, the silences, the people who preferred a good story to a good question. That's where the fraud lived. That's where the fraud lives. And that's where the cure needs to begin. I found this a fascinating viewing, and I would highly recommend it. The Great Art, what was it? The Great Art Fraud or something? The Great Art Dissect. Anyway, it's a 2-episode thing on the BBC. It's tremendous fun, but I'm afraid it's only possible because of the society we are creating. And I find it extraordinary that the most compelling person on camera is the person who was at the centre of the fraud. Inigo Philbrick himself.